sort of being superpowered in some way. Probably the kids these days that are growing up with these tools more efficient than we can imagine today.
How are you thinking as a parent about how to bring a child up in a world where so much is likely going to radically change?
Well, I think we've seen a lot of change even in our lifetimes. From, if I think back to my childhood where it was the dawn of the computer age and I was working on, my first ZX Spectrum that I got when I was a small kid and started programming, and then to where we are today, even my early games industry work when I was doing AI for games like Theme Park. And then today we've got systems like VO that are creating entire realistic video. It would have been hard to dream about that, 20, 30 years ago. And yet we cope with it. We seem to adapt. And I think human beings are sort of infinitely adaptable. I think that's a good thing about us. We sort of normalize to whatever's going on today with our technology today, smartphones and computers and internet all around us. And we treat it as, kids these days just as second nature. And I suspect that's what's going to happen with this. What I'd recommend, though, is just like we did in the computer age, is you've got to embrace and I think the coming change, learn about the tools and learn how to work effectively and make the best use of them. And I think you'll end up sort of being superpowered in some way, both creatively and productivity-wise, if you use them in the right way. And I think that's probably the next stage that we're going to go through. And probably the kids these days that are growing up with these tools, they'll learn all sorts of new workflows that probably will be a lot more efficient than we can imagine today.
Is there anything that you do differently as a parent that you might not have done if AGI weren't on the horizon?
No, I still think I get asked this question a lot. For example, is it worth learning programming and mathematics and even things like chess to train your own mind? I think it is. Although, if, for example, let's take programming, the nature of programming is changing, and it may well change very radically in the next few years, and actually in some ways democratize it, because we'll start programming with natural language instead of with programming languages. So then the kind of value part of that starts going towards more the creatives and the designers. So it's going to be a pretty interesting time. But I think the people that will get the most out of that will still be the ones with deep technical understanding of what these tools are doing, how they were made, and therefore what are their limitations and what are the things they're strong at that you can use.